Current insecurity fueled tension along the 6 counties bordering the Kerio Valley Belt, which includes West Pokot, Turkana, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu and Laikipia area. Now, the area religious leaders have doubled down on peacemaking efforts to support the current military and police operations. Indeed, this was the vote to incoming Kerio Valley Bishop of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Kenya, ALCK. This story is produced by Andrew Juma.
Addressing the media during his consecration and installation as the new bishop at Chester TTC in Sigor constituency, West Pokot County, Bishop Thomas Makulap Lokori called on all political leaders to put their difference aside, work for the people, protect them against any form of harm by collaborating with the national government to pump more resources into marginalized counties. Enable locals put food on the table in order to avoid banditry and cattle rustling.
Na mimi nina imani hiyo ya kwamba katika ELCK Kerio Valley Diocese italete amani. Kazi kubwa yetu ni kulete amani, kulete neno la Mungu, kuhubiri neno la Mungu bonde hili, ili waweze watu waokoke, waamini Yesu, wabadilishe tabia yao na waende vizuri.
Kerio kwanza ni upande ambapo iliacha nyuma sana kwa mambo ya neno la Mungu, kwa sababu watu wameingia kwa maneno yenye haistahili. Tukiona mambo ya vita ambayo tunasikia katika eneo yetu inapatikana hapa Saidi Kerio Valley. Tukiona upande wa Chesekon hapa sasa ndio eneo ambayo inakuanga war sana kwa mambo ya vita.
Political leaders who attended the ceremony led by West Pokot Deputy Governor Robert Komole, Sigor Member of Parliament Peter Lochangapong, Kapenguria Member of Parliament Simon Moroto, Pokot South Member of Parliament David Kosing, West Pokot Senator Julius Mugor, Women Representative Israel Aleitum Kasiwai, and former West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapo promised to work with the new diocese in ending all forms of insecurity at the valley.
Mungu anapitia watu kuleta amani. Nimeona vile umenena mambo ya nguvu sana. Ukasema utatembea North mzima kuleta amani. Mimi nitaunga wewe mkono, tutatembea mahali utaingia.
Tunaomba tu tembee pamoja na sisi kama sisi pia viongozi ambao tumechaguliwa, na tunahakika ya kwamba vile ambavyo unaongea na vile ambavyo uko na imani pamoja ukifanya kazi na sisi, hatuna shaka kwamba amani itapatikana katika sehemu hii kupitia kwa uongozi wako Bishop Lokori.
Mambo hii amani mingi hii imekosana na mambo ya kuelewa Pokot anakaa namna gani. Majirani yote wanakona kule wanafanyia propaganda Pokot. Luguri tobi Nairobi wanasema Pokot mbaya. Ile jirani anasema Pokot mbaya. Jirani ile ingine anasema Pokot mbaya. Kona yote Pokot mbaya. Jirani kakale kim wanasema Pokot mbaya. Mpaka hata watu wamekubali bishop kama sisi ni mbaya na hata sisi sio mbaya.
From West Pokot to Nakuru now, and hundreds of residents of Mwariki Estate around Lake Nakuru have faulted the warning by Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria over that fish caught human consumption. Now, the residents read mischief in that announcement, stating that the warning speaks doom to the main livelihood of fishing and fishmongering. Chichi Josephine tells us more.
The fish in Lake Nakuru is not fit for human consumption.
Days after Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria warned against consumption of fish caught from Lake Nakuru, residents around the lake have faulted this information, maintaining that the fish is fit for consumption.
Nafikiri mnatuona tuko na afya. Kwanza mimi nilikula samaki ya kwanza kwa hii shamba hapa.
The locals through the community initiative took a number of fish to the government laboratory for testing, and the result showed that the fish was fit for consumption.
What we did, tulichukua hizo samaki, tukaipeleka kwa maabara, sisi wenyewe, at our own cost, na at a different time. Na hizo tests zote wamefanya, zote zimekuwa, wamejumuisha multi-agencies. Karibu multi-agencies 8. Na ikasemekana samaki ni excellent.
Despite findings by experts that fish in the water body are laden with toxic elements that pose a health hazard. Locals and displaced families are pleading with the authorities to be allowed to continue with fishing, contending that it was now their only source of livelihood.
Sisi tumezikula kwa hiyo miaka yote, na hata kama zinaweza kuwa na hizo viini, wanasema hakuna mtu hajakula hiyo samaki Kenya. So ni siasa. Tunaweza sema sisi tuendelee kuvua, sababu tusipovua hapa ndipo tunapata pesa.
More than 5,000 women and fishmongers are dealing with this fish daily. So if you want to say that fish in Lake Nakuru are poisonous, it means you want to displace all these women who rely on the fish for their livelihood.
According to residents, fishing within the farms where water from lake has flooded into is a rare chance that has given them opportunities to fish and feed their families.
Ama tutakatazwa kabisa kuvua, then tuonyeshwe pahali tutaenda ili watoto wetu waweze kukula.
Ndani kwa ile lake ndani, kuna wengine wanafanya biashara zao kule ndani na wanazifanya na njia ambayo ni ya nguvu zaidi. Wao kwani wanazipeleka wapi?
At the same time, the families also claim that they are living in misery after their homes and properties started being submerged by the swelling waters of Lake Nakuru in 2020.
Maji ilitoka nje ikakuja kwa mashamba zetu ikabomoa maboma zote. Tunashare lake kwa mashamba zetu, tunakula upande yetu.
These families now say the compensation process by the government has taken too long, leading them to petitioning the government to consider compensating them for losses suffered. Chichi, Josephine, TV 47.
Thank you, Chichi, for that. Now, President William Ruto has emphasized the need to accelerate reform measures to the global financial architecture, including adjustments to debt treatment, alluding to the fight against climate change. Ruto decried the fact that African countries pay 5 times as much for their debt, driven by both real and perceived risk factors. Speaking in Rome, Italy, Monday, where he is participating in the Italy-Africa Summit, President William Ruto said Africa's ambitious goal to transform into a green industrial powerhouse hinges on securing the right type and amount of capital, particularly in the realms of renewable energy and infrastructure. Ruto, who joined other African presidents at Italy's Senate, was also quick to reiterate that Africa's renewable energy potential and natural resources can aid in meeting Europe's energy needs while fostering economic growth and technological advancement on Africa. And people living with disabilities are calling on the government to amend the current 10% deposit to 3 to 5% in order to enable them to own the government's affordable houses so as to accommodate people with low income. This came about as the Joint Committee holds its 10 public participation hearings, which actually conclude today. Mwege William tells us more.
Post office. Monday, the Joint Committee, crisscrossing the country on a mission to collect views on the housing levy, conducted their 10th session, and at this time setting camp at the country's capital. Residents, among them persons with disabilities, submitted their views to the committee chaired by Molo Member of Parliament Kimani Kuria, calling on the legislators to amend the 10% initial deposit. This, the group says, will accommodate a majority of Kenyans.
Katika hii deposit 10%, CPWDs tukepewa 3 to 5%. It means that mwenye atakuwa na 3% ni mwenye ako na ile nyumba ya rumu moja.
Tumechoka kuitwa watoto wa Waislamu. Tunaitwa kitongoji duni, mtaa wa mabanda wa Kibera. Yaani hizo ndio majina zetu. Hakuna jina zetu, tunataka sasa kubadilishiwa majina. Tunataka kuitwa hata Baraka Estate.
The committee also picked views from other stakeholders such as the Law Society of Kenya, which called on the legislators to be guided by the 2010 Constitution, with the proposed laws anchored to the Constitution to avoid legal suits.
Clause 5, only the employer has an obligation, which means the ultimate effect is, for people who are not employed, this levy is voluntary. For people who are employed, unfortunately, this levy is mandatory. Also in the views presented to the Joint Committee, issues to do with employment and provision of decent homes to allow income earners dominated a majority of the group submissions, with a shared belief that the project will be beneficial to Kenyans if the proposed laws will be well stipulated. We have created more jobs. The last presentation I said, if this housing project is taken maturely by parliamentarians, because the burden is on you, if you take it very seriously, it will create a massive job for the people.
Tunataka hii mradi iende through, ndio hata si mimi watoto wangu wale watabaki nyuma ama wajukuu warithi.
The public hearing have been held in 19 counties across the country will continue, with the Joint Committee expected to meet more stakeholders in the housing sector. Maggie William, TV47.
This one about assurance.
Meanwhile, Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Akumicha has asked Kenyans to visit health centers early enough to be diagnosed for cancer to curb the disease. At the same time, Nakumicha has advised Kenyans to accept the changes in Health Policy 2023 help ease the health service delivery. He says Nakumicha said this while marking the Cervical Cancer Awareness Month at Taita Taveta. Our Taita Taveta correspondent Julius Maruki reports.
Secretaries Susan Nakumicha and Aisha Jumwa have joined lobby groups in calling for concerted efforts to end cervical cancer in Kenya. These calls come at the launch of the National Cervical Cancer Awareness Month event in Taita Taveta County, where Kenyans countrywide were urged to visit the nearest health centers for cancer screening for them to get early treatment.
Kansa ya mlango wa uzazi ama kansa kwa ujumla inaweza kutibika na inaweza kusave life kama itakuwa dictated mapema, kama itajulikana mapema. Hivyo basi mwito ni kwamba tuhakikisha ya kwamba ili ijulikane mapema lazima tuchukue hatua ya kuhakikisha kwamba tumefanya screening, tumeangaliwa mapema.
CS Nakumicha took the chance to ask Kenyans to accept changes in the health policy in order to ensure easy health services delivery, sentiments supported by CS Jumwa.
Wewe ukiwa na kadi yako ya bima, umelipia 300, ujikuta umepatikana na kansa, bima itaanza kushughulikia, na hiyo bima ikishaisha hakuna mtu atakwambia ongezea hela. Mara moja wewe unaingizwa kwenye fund na hiyo fund inaanza kukushughulikia. Hilo ni jambo nzuri ama jambo mbaya? Niendelee nisiendelee? Kwa hivyo leo nikitoka hapa niwe na uhakika watu wa Taita Taveta wamesema sheria mpya za Social Health Authority ziende mbele. Si namna hiyo? Wacha nione kwa mikono wale wanasema waziri aendelee na sheria.
Kenya is marking a month of awareness activities aimed at ensuring better knowledge of cervical cancer, with a major clarion call being that of early detection under the hashtag screening saves lives. Julius Mariki Mwakibo, TV47, Taita Taveta.
All right, thank you for that, Mariki. The Cabinet Secretary of Health was in Taita Taveta yesterday, but Fred, she'll be in Mombasa today for the launch of the Kenya National Master Plan for the elimination of neglected tropical diseases. Quite a mouthful, a bit there.
My concern is that she's sounding more and more as a politician and not a CS.
Well,
a member of cabinet.
Watch out for Trans Nzoia, maybe.
All right, as we wrap up this edition of Morning Cafe, of course, a reminder of the remaining matches in the round of 16 at the Africa Cup of Nations tournament.
Prophet Fred.
No, I'm not prophesying today. But at 8 p.m. tonight, Mali versus Burkina Faso.
Yes.
And then later on at 11,
Morocco versus South Africa.
And that's a big one. That's a big game. And
your predictions?
I don't know.
Morocco is a... that's technically north of America and South, not America, Africa and
those are two footballing giants in Africa. So yes, I think it's the most interesting one. Probably, where's your money?
Ooh, that's I'll get back to
I think Morocco.
I had prophesied Senegal will really cross over, but then he did the thing.
It is African football. It is what it is.
It is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for Morning Cafe and keeping us company from 6 a.m. up until now. My name is Freddie Ndemuli. Have a lovely day. Let's do this again tomorrow morning.
And I'm used to Stanley Nyaringiri. It is 15 days to Valentine's.